There is a place, whispered only in the softest breaths of the wind, a place where the sun beats down upon the earth with such weight that time itself seems to stand still. It lies far in the heart of a desert, where the sands stretch endlessly, and the sky hangs like a heavy veil, softening the edges of the world. In this arid silence, a temple rests beneath the sand, its stones half forgotten, its name lost to memory. Beneath the ever-watching sun, it waits, as though it has always been there, waiting for a soul to come and listen to its ancient whispers. The desert has claimed it, wrapped it in its embrace, as it has with so many things, cities, stories, even entire civilizations. It is said that the temple's stones were once a chorus of voices, speaking of the heavens, the earth, and the hidden mysteries of the stars. But now, they are still, silent. Their voices, once vibrant and filled with purpose, have been muted by the sands of time. Their whispers can be heard only in the faintest breath of the wind, as if the desert itself is carrying them too quiet for the world to understand, too sacred to be spoken aloud. We begin our journey into this forgotten place as the sun begins to dip low on the horizon, painting the sky with hues of gold and deep amber. The shifting sands shift like the pages of an ancient manuscript, each grain a part of something once whole, something now lost. The world around us grows quiet, the sound of our footsteps muffled by the dunes. And then, there it is emerging slowly from the haze, like a dream materializing from the mists of sleep. At first, it appears only as a shadow, faint outlines of stone, half buried by centuries of sand. But as we draw closer, the shape of the temple becomes clearer. Its walls, though weathered and worn by the relentless passage of time, still hold traces of their once great purpose. The carvings, though eroded, seem to pulse with a quiet, sacred energy, as if they are waiting for someone to unlock their meaning. These are no ordinary stones. They are marked, etched with symbols that speak of something far beyond the world of man. They were meant to hold knowledge of the stars, of rituals long forgotten, of truths that were once known, but now only whispered in the winds. The further we walk into the heart of the temple, the more we feel its pull. It is as though the temple itself is a living entity, breathing with the desert, dissolving into it, and yet holding fast to its mysteries. Each step we take disturbs the silence, but the temple responds only in echoes. The walls, now crumbled and fractured, seem to shift and change as the light fades, as if they are constantly slipping between time and memory. The temple's purpose, its story, is buried deep within its stones, somewhere between the cracks and crevices, between the whispers carried by the wind. We pause before a great archway, its surface worn smooth by centuries of unseen hands. It seems to beckon us, but there is a hesitance in the air, a stillness that suggests that not all doors are meant to be opened. It is said that once, this was the entrance to a sacred chamber, a place where the high priests of a long-forgotten civilization would commune with the gods. They spoke of things beyond this world, of the stars above and the secrets hidden in the silence of the earth. What knowledge did they possess? What sacred rites were performed here, beneath the gaze of a sky that no longer remembers them? As the sun dips lower, the shadows grow longer, and the temple seems to breathe with a soft sigh. The stones beneath our feet are warm, the air heavy with the scent of dust and ancient memories. It is as though the very ground itself is holding its breath, waiting for something or someone to awaken the secrets buried here. And yet, as we stand in the doorway of the temple, we feel no rush. There is no need to hurry, no sense of urgency. This is not a place to be conquered, nor a mystery to be solved. It is a place to be held, a place to sit in quiet reverence and listen to the whispers of the past. Some say the temple was built in reverence to the gods of the stars, its architecture a reflection of the celestial maps that guided its creators. It is said that the stones were placed with such precision that they echoed with the rhythms of the heavens, their positions a perfect mirror of the constellations above. Yet, as we move deeper into the temple, there is no clear path. The walls, once grand, now stand like broken mirrors, their reflections scattered across the desert floor. The star maps, once etched in the stone, have faded, their meaning lost to the ages. But still, there is something here, something that calls to us. With each step, the mystery deepens. We pass through halls that seem to stretch endlessly, their ceilings high and vaulted, their walls adorned with faded carvings and symbols that seem to pulse with a faint, otherworldly light. The temple's purpose is unclear, as if it was never meant to be understood. Was it a place of worship? A sanctuary? or something more. Perhaps it was not meant to serve man at all, but was instead a temple to the stars, to the forgotten gods who once walked the earth. The deeper we go, the more the temple begins to dissolve into the sands. It is as though the desert is reclaiming it, swallowing it whole, so that it will never again see the light of day. We reach a chamber, its floor covered in sand, its walls half collapsed. A single beam of moonlight pours through a broken window, casting a soft glow upon the remnants of an altar, long abandoned. The air is still, the silence absolute. This is the heart of the temple, the place where the sacred rituals were once performed. And yet, there is no sign of the people who worshipped here, no trace of the priests who spoke to the gods. What were they seeking? What truth did they hope to find in this quiet, sacred place? Were they trying to commune with something beyond the stars? Or were they simply searching for a deeper connection to the earth beneath their feet? Perhaps they too felt the pull of the temple, the call of its silent stones, the whispers that can only be heard in the deepest silence. As we leave the temple behind, the wind picks up, sweeping the sand across the broken stones. The temple, now fading into the landscape, seems to disappear before our eyes, as though it was never truly here. It is said that this temple was never meant to be found, and perhaps that is true. Perhaps it was always a secret, meant to sleep beneath the sands, forever waiting for a soul to wander by, to listen, to hear its whispers, and then to walk away, leaving it once more to silence. The desert swallows the temple whole, and we are left with nothing but the soft echo of its whispers, a memory that fades like the last light of dusk. Some places are meant to be forgotten, their secrets left buried beneath layers of time. And perhaps, in the end, that is all that remains. The silence, the echo, the whispers of something ancient, something sacred, waiting to be remembered when we are ready to listen. As dusk settles upon the land, a quiet hush fills the air. The sun, now heavy and low, stretches its last golden rays across the horizon, casting the world in hues of soft amber and deep purple. In this moment, time feels suspended, a breath held between the day and the night. And within this stillness, there lies the memory of a kingdom, one that once rose like a mountain against the horizon, its grandeur rivaling the very stars themselves. But now, all that remains is its whisper, barely a shadow of what was. A kingdom that has been swallowed, not just by the earth, but by the silence of forgotten memory. We find ourselves standing at the edge of this desolation, gazing upon what remains. The ruins stretch before us, broken walls and crumbled pillars, standing like forgotten sentinels. The stones, once warm with the life of a people, now cool and covered in dust, seem to exhale a soft breath, as if they too are weary of the weight of history. It is said that this kingdom was once a place of great wonder, where the people spoke to the heavens and carved their lives into the very fabric of the earth. They were the keepers of secrets, masters of the stars, the moon, and the rhythms of time. But those secrets have faded now, hidden beneath layers of earth and sand, and only the faintest traces of their knowledge remain. As we walk deeper into the kingdom's remains, the air grows heavy with a quiet sadness. The walls tell tales not of triumph, but of something lost not just in time but in memory. These stones, these fractured remnants of once majestic buildings, seem to carry a weight of sorrow, as though they mourn for what has passed. The kingdom's story is not one of discovery, but of reverence for something that once was, and now is no more. It is said that its people lived in harmony with the stars, aligning their cities with celestial patterns, worshipping at the altars of forgotten gods. But now, there is no one to remember their names, no one to whisper their stories. The silence between the ruins is thick with absence. There is a faint echo in the air, as though the very wind carries the memory of the kingdom's final days. It whispers through the cracked walls, over the broken columns, and into the hollow chambers of once grand halls. What happened to these people? What caused their civilization to disappear so completely, as though it was swept away by some unseen hand? Perhaps they fell to a cataclysm, some forgotten disaster that erased them from the earth. Or perhaps they sought something greater immortality, perhaps, and in their quest, erased their very existence from the world, hiding their secrets from all who might follow. The air around us feels dense with questions, and though the answers seem so close, they remain just out of reach, veiled by time and silence. As we walk along the crumbling path, the ruins stretch out before us like a dream, shifting and changing with the light. The stones beneath our feet are uneven, worn smooth by centuries of use, but they are no longer sharp with purpose. They are tired now, tired from holding the weight of history, from carrying the stories of a time that is no more. The sky above is dimming, the stars beginning to flicker into existence. Perhaps they too were once aligned with the people of this kingdom, their movements known to the ancients in ways we have long forgotten. The kingdom's people spoke to the heavens. Did they know something about the stars that we no longer understand? At the heart of this forgotten city stands a temple, or what remains of one. Its stone steps, long eroded by the passage of time, lead up to a platform that seems to reach for the sky, even though the heavens are now lost in shadow. The columns, once grand and towering, now sag beneath the weight of centuries, their once beautiful carvings faded and cracked. Yet, there is something profoundly sacred about this place. Perhaps it is not the structure itself that speaks, but the silence that lingers here. This was once a place of worship, a place where the people of the kingdom stood in awe of something greater than themselves. Their prayers whispered to the stars, carried on the winds. But now, only the quiet remains, and the wind, which carries with it the last echoes of a kingdom that once stood proud under the sun. Some believe that the people of this kingdom were the guardians of a knowledge so profound that it could not be allowed to remain. What they knew, or what they sought to uncover, has long since vanished. Some say the kingdom's rulers believed they could transcend time itself, that they could carve their legacy into eternity, but in the end they disappeared, leaving only these ruins as a reminder of their ambition. Or perhaps, in the quest for immortality, they sealed their own fate, erasing themselves, as though their memory was not meant to be preserved, but buried beneath the earth. The ruins tell no tales, only offer the faintest echoes of a people who once gazed into the heavens, seeking something more, something beyond this world. We pause before a half-destroyed statue, its once proud form now a collection of fractured pieces, as if time itself has cracked it apart. What was this figure? A king? A god? A figure of worship? The stone face is worn and featureless, but even in its ruin, it carries a certain majesty, as though it were always meant to remain a mystery. The wind sighs through the broken pillars, and the sound seems to carry the weight of centuries. Perhaps the statue was never meant to stand for eternity, but only for a brief moment, to be part of the kingdom's story before it too was lost to time. And now, it sits, waiting a reminder of what was, but can no longer be. The deeper we venture into the ruins, the more the kingdom seems to slip into the earth. The stones crumble beneath our hands, their shapes no longer clear, their purpose no longer known. The quiet grows heavier, as though the earth itself is trying to keep its secrets hidden. The stars overhead seem distant, as though they are watching us, waiting for us to understand. The whispers of the kingdom's people are carried on the winds, but they are faint, fading like the last light of day. What remains is only a memory, and that memory is fading as well. Perhaps this kingdom was never meant to be remembered. Perhaps it was always destined to be lost, buried beneath the sands, forgotten by all who came after. Some places, some stories, are meant to fade away, to live only in the whispers of the wind, in the silence of the earth. We stand before these ruins, not as discoverers, but as witnesses to something that was and is no more. The kingdom's final whispers are carried on the winds, but they are fading, lost in the great silence of time. And as we turn to leave, the wind carries the last breath of the kingdom away, as though it too is ready to be forgotten. What remains behind is only the echo of what was an echo that fades into the darkness, just as the last light of the day slips beyond the horizon. And perhaps that is all that is meant to remain, the echo of a vanished kingdom, carried on the winds of time, where memory fades and silence reigns. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. And perhaps, in the quietest moments, when the world is still, we hear them once more. Far beneath the surface of the earth, there is a place where light has never dared to tread. It is a place shrouded in darkness, where time itself seems to bend and fold like the endless shadows surrounding it. The air here is thick with a quiet stillness, as though the earth itself is holding its breath. Each step we take, each breath we draw, feels heavy, as though the very ground beneath us is whispering a secret, urging us to go deeper, yet, perhaps, wishing we would not. The journey down into this forgotten space is not one of haste. No, it is a slow descent, a journey inward, where the pulse of the world above fades into silence. There are no sounds here, no rustling leaves or distant echoes, only the soft murmur of the earth itself. speaking in tones as old as the stars. The walls, worn and crumbled by the weight of centuries, seem to press in around us, but there is no fear in this, only reverence. We are not intruders here, but visitors to a sacred place, one that has remained untouched, concealed from the world for longer than any of us can remember. It is said that this chamber holds something far more precious than gold, more powerful than any weapon, a knowledge so ancient, so profound, that it was hidden away for fear of its misuse. What could be so dangerous, so sacred, that it needed to be sealed away beneath layers of earth, deep within the heart of the world? Was it the secret of the stars, a lost understanding of the heavens, or perhaps a forgotten truth about the very nature of time itself? We do not know, but as we descend deeper into the earth, the silence thickens, and the mystery deepens. The passage narrows, the air growing heavier with each step, as though the earth is guiding us towards something ancient, something we cannot yet fully comprehend. The stone beneath our feet is cold, worn smooth by the centuries, but it is solid, steady, timeless. There is a strange sense of reverence here, as though the very walls are watching us, waiting for us to understand. What does the earth know that we do not? What stories has it kept hidden for all this time? And then, as we reach the end of the narrow corridor, the path opens up into a vast, still chamber. The air here is still, a heavy quiet that wraps around us like a shroud. The walls of the chamber rise high above us, covered in ancient carvings, their meaning lost to the ages. But there is something about them, something in the way the symbols are etched into the rock, as if they are waiting for us to read them, to understand them, to unlock the secret they have guarded for so long. At the center of the chamber lies an altar, its stone surface worn smooth by time, but still intact. Around it, there are more symbols, spirals, circles, and shapes that seem to pulse with a rhythm that cannot be heard, only felt. There is no light here, save for the faint glow of the stone itself, as if the chamber itself is alive, breathing with an energy older than time. It is said that this place was never meant to be uncovered, that it was sealed away for reasons we may never fully understand. Yet here we are, standing in its shadow, feeling the weight of its forgotten truths pressing in around us. The chamber is not just a place, it is a story that time itself has forgotten to tell. The stone beneath our feet feels alive, as though it is waiting, watching, holding its breath. Perhaps it was never meant to be uncovered, but still, we stand here, caught in the stillness, the silence, the waiting. There is no rush to leave, no urgency to know what lies at the heart of this place. It is enough simply to be here, to witness the quiet reverence of this sacred space. As we approach the altar, the silence grows heavier, more profound. The stone seems to hum with a quiet energy, as though it is trying to communicate, to share its secrets. But what are these secrets? What forgotten knowledge does it hold, buried in its ancient depths? What was sealed away in this chamber, hidden from the world above, left to wait in the shadows of time? Perhaps these questions will never be answered. Perhaps they are meant to remain hidden, lost to the world forever, a mystery that will never be uncovered. There are no answers here, only the silence. And perhaps that is enough. The silence is sacred, a presence in itself, holding the weight of all that has been forgotten. We are left with the feeling that this place was not meant to be understood, but only to be experienced. The chamber's secrets are not for us to know, and yet here they are, waiting, lingering in the quiet stillness. Perhaps the truth of this place is simply the silence itself, the sacred waiting, the unspoken knowledge that rests beneath the surface of the earth, beyond the reach of time and memory. As we stand there, in the heart of the chamber, a feeling of profound reverence fills the air. The earth has kept its secrets for millennia, and now it is time for us to leave. The stone beneath our feet begins to feel heavy, as though the chamber itself is urging us to depart, to return to the world above. We turn, slowly, and begin the ascent, leaving behind the altar, the carvings, and the silence. But even as we ascend, the stillness lingers, wrapping around us like a dream, like a memory that we cannot quite grasp. The passage grows narrower again, the air lighter, but the weight of the chamber remains. Perhaps it will always remain with us, this sacred place, this forgotten story, this silence that speaks of things too ancient for words. And when we emerge back into the world above, the world of light and sound, we will carry with us the memory of the earth's secret, a secret that we may never fully understand, but one that will remain in our hearts, in the shadows of our minds. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, Perhaps it was always meant to wait here, beneath the earth, holding its secrets in the silence. And yet, here we are, having stepped into its shadow, having felt its weight, if only for a moment. The chamber, now hidden beneath the earth once more, waits. And so do we, in the silence, in the waiting, in the mystery that time itself has forgotten to tell. Some secrets are meant to be kept, hidden away beneath layers of stone and earth, waiting for the right moment, the right soul, to listen. But until that time comes, the silence remains, echoing softly in the chambers of the earth. And perhaps that is all we need to know. Beneath the endless expanse of the velvet sky, where the stars seem to pulse like distant lanterns, there is a silence. It is not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of something long lost, a stillness that carries the weight of untold stories. As we gaze upward, the constellations above us glimmer with the remnants of something ancient, something forgotten. It is said that long ago, the stars were not just points of light scattered across the heavens, but something more, something woven into the very fabric of time. The heavens were once a map, not just a guide to the cycles of the earth, but a sacred language, etched into the sky by those who understood it. What if, in the vastness of the cosmos, there were voices carved into the constellations? What if the ancient civilizations that looked to the stars did not simply seek to track time, but to understand a deeper truth? What if their understanding of the sky was a language itself, a language of light and shadow, a silent hymn to the mysteries of existence? And what if those voices, once heard by the wise, have since been swallowed by the passing of centuries, buried beneath the sands of time? The night sky offers us its silence now, but that silence, we feel, is not empty. It is full of forgotten words, lost truths, and the echoes of a time long past. We find ourselves beneath this ancient sky, the stars stretching out before us in their familiar patterns. But there is something different tonight, something hidden in the quiet shimmer of their light. It is as if the stars are trying to speak, as if they hold the secret of something lost, something that only a few were ever meant to know. In the stillness, we wonder, what did these ancient peoples know? What did they see in the stars that we cannot? The constellations, like silent sentinels, have been watching us for millennia. They were once more than mere markers in the sky. They were keys to a language, a map to something deeper, a door to mysteries that have since been closed. As the evening deepens, the stars grow brighter, their light casting long shadows upon the earth. Each constellation is more than a mere collection of points. The shapes they form are like forgotten symbols, drawn by the hand of time itself, a language that speaks in a voice not heard, but felt. We are told that these symbols, carved into the sky by ancient hands, were not simply decorative. They were the language of the cosmos, the language of the gods. Some believe that the stars were not just seen, but read as a scroll is read, as a sacred text is deciphered. Each star, each constellation, was a word, a phrase, a verse in an ancient poem written across the heavens. And yet, as we lie beneath this vast sky, the constellations seem far away. Their stories, once vivid and alive, are now distant, hidden in the folds of time. What happened to the knowledge they once carried? What truths did those who mapped the heavens hold? The voices of the ancient star readers have faded into silence, their whispers now lost in the wind. What knowledge did they carry with them to the dark corners of history, to places where even the stars themselves were swallowed by shadows? The silence of the night is heavy with these questions. The stars, so still and unmoving, seem to hold their breath, waiting for us to listen. And in this silence, there is a sense of longing, as if the sky itself is waiting for us to remember the language of the stars, to listen to the stories that have been forgotten. The sky has no answers for us, only the promise of something more. Perhaps the answers were never meant to be spoken aloud, but to be felt in the stillness, in the space between the stars. Perhaps they are waiting for us to understand them in our hearts, to hear them not with our ears, but with the soul. As the night stretches on, the constellations shift slowly overhead, their patterns never quite the same, always changing, always waiting. We are told that in ancient times, the stars were thought to hold the key to the secrets of life itself. The ancients believed that the heavens were not just a backdrop to the world below, but an active participant in the dance of existence. The stars were not simply passive lights, but guides, teachers, and messengers. Each constellation was a symbol of something greater, a story, a lesson, a warning. And yet, as the centuries have passed, the meaning of these symbols has faded. The language of the stars has been lost, buried beneath the weight of time, wrapped in the silence of the ages. There is a deep sadness in this, for in that silence we feel the echoes of something beautiful and profound, a knowledge that was once shared between the earth and the heavens. The stars may still shine, but they no longer speak to us in the same way. Perhaps it is because we no longer know how to listen. Perhaps it is because the world has changed, and we no longer look to the heavens with the same reverence, the same awe. But still, the stars remain, their light a quiet reminder of a time when the night sky was not just a decoration, but a sacred language, one that held the secrets of the universe. As we lie beneath the heavens, the weight of the night presses gently against us, and the air grows still. The stars, though distant, seem close now, as though they are speaking to us in a language we can almost understand. The constellations twinkle softly, like distant memories, like forgotten dreams. There is no rush here, no urgency to uncover their secrets. Instead, we are content to listen, to be present in this quiet moment, surrounded by the mystery of the night sky. Perhaps the voices of the stars are still there, waiting for us to listen once more. Perhaps the knowledge they carry is not meant to be found, but simply to be felt, to be remembered in the deepest recesses of our being. And so we lie here, in the stillness of the night, with the sky stretched out before us, like an ancient scroll, waiting to be read. It is said that some secrets are never meant to be uncovered, only whispered in the silence between the stars. Perhaps this is one of those secrets, a secret that will remain hidden until we are ready to listen, truly listen to the forgotten voices of the night sky. As the hours pass, the stars grow quiet, their light fading softly into the dark. The night wraps itself around us like a blanket, and we drift, slowly, into sleep, carrying with us the quiet mystery of the stars, the promise of something that is always there, waiting just beyond our reach, just beneath the silence. Perhaps the stars are not silent at all. Perhaps they are still speaking to us, in the only way they know how, in the quiet whisper of the night sky. And perhaps, in our dreams, we will hear them once more. On the edge of a forgotten world, where the earth's horizon meets the endless sky, lies a city, its stone buildings bathed in the soft, silvery glow of the moon. The city is ancient, its bones half swallowed by the sands of time, but it still stands, silent and steadfast, under the watchful gaze of the stars. There is something sacred in the way the city rests, as though it has always been here, and perhaps always will be, fading and reappearing only when the moonlight is soft enough to reveal its hidden secrets. The wind sighs through the empty streets, carrying with it a sense of stillness. Each breeze that passes through the crumbled ruins whispers faint echoes of what once was an offering, perhaps to the gods of the night, or a chant spoken in reverence to the celestial rhythms that governed this lost kingdom. The stones beneath our feet are smooth, weathered by the weight of time, their surfaces marked by the symbols of an ancient people who knew the language of the stars, the pulse of the earth, and the secrets of the heavens. These stones have seen the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of civilizations, yet they remain untouched by the years that have passed. It is said that this city once stood at the center of a great civilization, a place where the people lived in harmony with the stars above and the earth below. The rhythms of the heavens, the movements of the planets, were not simply something observed, they were understood, woven into the fabric of daily life. The city was not merely a home, it was a sacred space, designed in alignment with the cosmos, a place where the people could commune with the stars, chart the paths of the gods, and seek guidance from the eternal sky. The architecture of the city itself was built with such precision, such reverence, that even now, the layout of its streets seems to echo the constellations above, like a cosmic map carved into the earth itself. Yet now, the city is a mere shadow of its former self. The grandeur it once held has crumbled, leaving behind only the faintest traces of what it once was. The buildings, though still standing, are fractured, their stone faces worn by the passage of time. The walls are half buried in dust, the delicate carvings of long-forgotten stories fading with every passing year. The streets are empty, save for the soft whisper of the wind, as it winds its way through the ruins, carrying with it the faintest echo of ancient chants, now lost to memory. The air is thick with the weight of silence, a silence so profound that it seems to stretch into eternity. As we walk through the empty streets, there is a sense of reverence in the air, a quiet awe that fills the space around us. There is no hurry, no need to rush, only the feeling that we are walking through a sacred place, a place that was once alive with purpose, but now stands in stillness, waiting to be remembered. The city speaks, not with words, but with its silence, with its presence, with the soft glow of the moonlight that bathes its ruins. In this stillness, we feel the weight of its history, the burden of its lost stories. What caused the fall of this place? Was it a calamity, some great disaster that swept through the city and left it in ruins? Or did the people of this city simply fade away, leaving behind only the remnants of their once great civilization? The questions linger, but there are no answers. The city gives up its secrets only in whispers, and those whispers are lost on the wind, carried away by the quiet rhythms of the earth. There is no grand revelation here, no dramatic twist, only the quiet majesty of what remains. And perhaps that is enough, for the city was never meant to be remembered in its fullness, only in fragments in the soft glow of moonlight, in the quiet breeze that stirs the broken columns, in the faint echo of ancient chants that still linger in the air. The further we walk into the heart of the city, the more we feel its presence. It is as if the very stones are alive, holding the memory of a time long past, a time when the city was filled with life, with purpose, with the rhythm of the cosmos. The stones that once stood in reverence to the stars now stand in silence, waiting for us to listen, to hear the story they are trying to tell. But the story is not one that can be easily told. It is buried in the cracks of the walls, in the dust of the streets, in the fragments of broken statues that lie scattered among the ruins. It is a story of a civilization that knew the secrets of the universe, and yet, in the end, vanished into the night, leaving only their moonlit stones to speak for them. Perhaps the people of this city were not meant to last. Perhaps their knowledge, their wisdom, was always meant to fade away, like the glow of the moon on a clouded night. Perhaps they knew that their time was fleeting, that their city would one day be lost to the ages, and so they built it to last only for as long as the stars above shone bright. And when the time came, when the stars no longer guided their steps, they too faded, leaving behind only the echo of their presence, like a distant memory whispered by the wind. We stand before a grand archway, its stone edges worn and weathered, the carvings faint and barely discernible. The archway once marked the entrance to the heart of the city, but now it stands alone, a sentinel to the past. The path beyond is obscured by the shadow of time, but there is something undeniably sacred about this place. The air is thick with the remnants of a ritual, perhaps a ceremony performed long ago, under the watchful gaze of the moon and the stars. The faintest trace of incense lingers in the air, as if the gods themselves had once walked here, leaving behind their blessing, their mark upon the city. The moon rises higher in the sky, its light casting long shadows across the broken stone, illuminating the crumbled ruins in a soft, ethereal glow. The city, once vibrant and full of life, now rests in the quiet embrace of the night. The buildings seem to exhale their last breath, the wind gently stirring the dust of ages. The moonlight dances across the fragments of statues, the broken columns, the worn stones, as if to remind us of what was and what remains. There are no answers here, no grand conclusions to be drawn, only the quiet majesty of what was built and what has been lost. Perhaps it was never meant to be uncovered, this city of moonlit stone. Perhaps it was always meant to fade, to rest quietly beneath the moon, waiting for those who would wander through its ruins, feeling the pulse of its ancient rhythm, hearing the echo of its forgotten chants. As we stand at the edge of the city, gazing at the moon above, we feel the weight of its history, its mystery, pressing gently against us. The city holds its secrets, and perhaps it always will. The whispers of the past are carried on the wind, fading just as quickly as they come, like the last light of the moon before the dawn. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps it was always meant to sleep beneath the moonlight, a sacred memory lost to time, resting in the silence of the earth. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen, and perhaps, in the quiet moments, when the wind stirs the ancient stones, we will hear them once again. Beneath the vast expanse of the ocean, where light does not reach, where the world above is only a distant memory, there lies a place untouched by time. The waters here are deep, dark, and silent, stretching into an abyss where even the bravest of souls would never venture. Yet, within this quiet, secret world, there exists a library, a sanctuary of knowledge, older than any that has ever graced the earth. It is said that this library was once a place of profound wisdom, its halls filled with scrolls and texts that carried the secrets of the universe. But no eyes have seen its contents for millennia. Its walls are carved with symbols so ancient that they have not been seen for countless ages, their meanings lost to time, perhaps deliberately erased by those who feared the knowledge they held. The ocean has kept these secrets well, shrouding them in the depths, hiding them from prying eyes, and keeping them locked away beneath the waves. As we drift through the water, the faintest glow begins to emerge from the darkness. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, but it beckons us a light not of this world, soft and otherworldly, as though the ocean itself is guiding us to a forgotten truth. With each slow movement through the murky depths, the glow grows stronger, until, finally, we see it the library. It rises before us like a shadow from an ancient dream, its form only half visible in the depths, barely holding on to its shape against the weight of the water. The walls of this submerged sanctuary rise like ruins, their surfaces covered in a film of ancient algae and coral, softened by the passage of time. The architecture is unlike anything we have seen before, as though designed by a civilization long lost, whose understanding of the world was so vast, so deep, that it could not be contained by land alone. The structure, even in its ruin, holds a certain majesty, as though it was meant to stand forever, impervious to the passage of centuries. Yet, time has not been kind. The salt of the sea has weathered its once pristine stone, the symbols carved into its walls barely visible, like whispers fading into the depths. And still, it calls to us. The faint light that emanates from within seems to pulse with a quiet rhythm, as if the very library itself is breathing. Its glow is not bright, but rather soft, ethereal, like the light of the moon filtering through a thick fog. The waters around us grow colder, the pressure of the ocean deepening, but there is a calmness here, a stillness that feels almost sacred. We are not intruders, but visitors, invited by the ocean itself to witness something ancient and profound. The air in the water is thick, filled with the weight of forgotten knowledge, waiting to be uncovered. But what knowledge lies within? What is it that has been hidden here for so long, buried beneath the ocean's surface? Some say this library holds the key to understanding the stars, to unlocking the mysteries of time and space, the secrets of the universe that were once known to those who lived before recorded history. Perhaps it contains the answers to questions we have not yet learned to ask. Perhaps it is the work of a civilization that once touched the very edges of divinity, only to be lost to the tides of time. The ocean holds many secrets, but this library is perhaps the greatest of them all. As we drift closer, we see the faint outlines of shelves, rows upon rows of ancient books, their spines worn, but still intact, some bound in strange materials that glimmer faintly in the soft light. Their pages, though fragile, have withstood the weight of the water, the pressure of the deep, the erosion of centuries. How many of these texts have remained unread, their contents locked away from the world? What wisdom lies within their pages? What knowledge was so powerful that it had to be sealed away beneath the sea? The walls of the library are covered in symbols, carved with a precision that seems almost unnatural. Some are familiar, fragments of forgotten languages, but many are foreign, their meanings lost to all but the ancients who created them. They speak of stars and planets, of the earth and its deepest mysteries, of truths that are hidden in plain sight, and of things that cannot be understood until the right moment. The language of these symbols is not just written, it is alive, a language of light and shadow, of sound and silence, one that transcends time and space. And yet, there is a feeling here, an unsettling sensation that perhaps not all knowledge is meant to be found. The ocean has kept these secrets safe, and there is a reason for their hiding. The library, though full of wisdom, is not a place for answers, it is a place for questions. The knowledge contained within its walls may be too vast, too powerful for those of us who are not ready to understand it. Perhaps it was never meant to be uncovered, but only whispered about in legends, passed down through the ages like a forgotten dream. We move deeper into the library's heart, the light growing dimmer, the water darker. The silence here is profound, and yet, beneath the silence, there is a hum, a gentle vibration that runs through the walls, as if the library itself is calling out to us, trying to share its secret, trying to tell us something that we are not yet ready to know. The faint glow continues to pulse, each beat matching the rhythm of the ocean, like a heartbeat lost to time, waiting for us to hear it, to understand. The shelves stretch on, infinite in their depths, filled with knowledge that we can never touch, never fully comprehend. Some say the ocean has always been a keeper of such things, that beneath its surface lie the remnants of civilizations long forgotten, of gods whose names have been lost to history. Perhaps the library is the last testament to one of these lost worlds, a final offering from a time before memory, when the sea was a gateway to something greater. We feel the pull of the ocean, a soft, undulating force that invites us closer, urging us to stay. But there are no answers here, no conclusions to be drawn. The library offers only the softest hints of the wisdom it holds, whispers carried on the current, messages that fade just as quickly as they appear. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, this sacred place beneath the sea. Perhaps it was always meant to remain hidden, a treasure lost to time, buried beneath the ocean's depths, waiting for those who would seek it in the quiet moments, in the spaces between the waves. As we slowly turn away, the faint glow of the library recedes into the murky depths, its light dimming like the last rays of a forgotten star. The ocean closes in around us, as it has for centuries, guarding its secrets, holding its knowledge in the depths. We do not leave with answers, but with the quiet knowledge that some things are not meant to be known, only felt, only sensed in the silence of the deep. Perhaps it was never meant to be uncovered. Perhaps the library was always meant to remain a secret, hidden beneath the ocean's surface, a place of forgotten wisdom, waiting for those who are ready to listen. Some secrets, it is said, can only be understood in silence, in the spaces between the breaths of time. And as we drift back into the dark waters, the ocean's hum fades away, leaving us with only the quiet echo of its wisdom, waiting for the next soul to hear its call. There are places, lost in the folds of time, where the earth itself seems to remember things it can no longer tell. It is in such a place that we begin, beneath the vast, eternal sky, where the stars once guided the people who believed they were descended from them. These were the starborn, a people who looked upward, always upward, seeking their origins among the constellations, tracing their lineage to the heavens above. They built their homes upon the earth, yet their hearts were always pointed toward the stars, as though the earth was only a stepping stone to something greater, something beyond. In forgotten corners of the world, their cities once stood, grand and awe-inspiring, their walls decorated with the intricate patterns of stars. Yet now, only faint traces remain crumbled stone, the shadow of a doorway, a broken column half swallowed by the earth. The land itself seems reluctant to remember, as if it wishes to keep the secret of these people hidden. What happened to them? Why did they vanish from the earth, leaving behind only these scattered ruins, these half-forgotten echoes of their existence? It is said that the starborn were not like other peoples. They did not live as others did, confined to the rhythms of the earth. No, their gaze was always on the stars, their lives shaped by the cosmic patterns above. They charted the heavens, aligning their cities and their lives with the movements of the planets, the cycles of the moon, the eternal dance of the stars. Their cities were built in harmony with the constellations, their monuments aligned with the celestial spheres, as if they believed that by following the stars, they could find their way back to their ancestors, back to the sky that was their true home. We trace their path now, walking through the remnants of their world, seeking signs of their existence. Each step we take is a step through the forgotten past, through the soft, crumbling echoes of a civilization lost. The wind carries a whisper through the ruins, a soft breath of memory, as if the land itself wishes to share its secret but cannot. The stones beneath our feet are worn, their once pristine surfaces now smoothed by centuries of weather, the engravings of stars and symbols faint and indistinct, as though time itself is reluctant to let these stories be told. The ruins seem to stretch on endlessly, a landscape of half-formed shapes, half-remembered places. There are no grand gates or towering spires, left only the faintest outlines of what once was. And yet, there is something hauntingly beautiful about it. It is as if the very silence of this place speaks volumes. The absence, the emptiness, is a language in itself, echoing with the memory of those who once stood here, looking up to the heavens, searching for something beyond the stars. What happened to the starborn? Were they taken, swept away by some unseen force? Or did they simply fade into the cosmic silence, leaving the earth behind, their journey to the stars complete? Some say they ascended, that they left this world for the heavens they had long looked to, disappearing from history, leaving nothing but the memory of their gaze. Perhaps they are not lost, but waiting, somewhere among the stars, their civilization a distant dream, forever out of reach. As we wander deeper into the ruins, the stars above seem to grow brighter, their light more vivid, as though they are watching us, guiding us on a path that is both familiar and unknown. The constellations that once mapped the Starborn's world seem to shimmer with the echoes of their presence, as though they are still here, still whispering their secrets, still waiting for us to listen. There is something profoundly sacred about these ruins, as if the very air here carries the weight of their longing, their search for something greater than themselves. The silence of the ruins is not an absence but a presence, heavy with meaning. There are no voices here, no sounds save for the rustling of the wind, but the stillness is profound, filled with the memory of a people who once gazed upward and saw the stars as their home. It is as if the earth itself remembers their footsteps, the weight of their gazes, and the longing that filled their hearts. Their cities may have crumbled, their monuments fallen to dust, but their spirits remain, woven into the fabric of the sky, a quiet presence that lingers in the air. Some believe that the Starborn were not meant to be found again. Perhaps they were always destined to disappear, to return to the stars from which they came, leaving behind only their whispers, carried on the wind. Perhaps they were the first to understand that the stars were not just lights in the sky, but pathways, gateways to something far beyond the reach of this earth. They believed that to look upward was to understand their place in the grand design of the universe, to see themselves as part of something much larger, much older than the world around them. And so, they left, whether by their own choosing or by some force beyond their control. Their cities, once shining with life, now lie beneath the weight of time, waiting for those who will walk through their remains and remember. What did they find in the stars? What did they know that we do not? Perhaps the answers lie within the silence of these ruins, within the soft glow of the stars above, where the echoes of their wisdom still linger, waiting to be heard by those who are ready to listen. As we stand in the shadow of their cities, the wind stirs the dust of their forgotten streets, and for a moment the stars seem to whisper. Perhaps the Starborn are not lost to us forever. Perhaps they are simply waiting for the right moment to return, to offer their wisdom to those who are ready to understand. Perhaps their journey to the stars was not an end, but a beginning, a journey that continues, stretching across the vastness of the universe, waiting for us to follow. And so, we leave the ruins behind, but we do not leave empty-handed. The silence of the Starborn, the memory of their gaze, will remain with us. It will follow us into the night, carried on the whisper of the wind, carried on the pulse of the stars as they continue to shine above us, marking the path they once walked. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, but perhaps that is how it should be. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. And so, we listen, and the stars whisper in reply. In the stillness of a forgotten library, far from the prying eyes of the world, there exists an ancient map. Its edges are frayed, its surface worn smooth by the passage of time. Yet, despite the centuries that have passed, it whispers to us of lands once believed to exist, of places where the very fabric of reality itself seemed to bend and break, where the mysteries of the earth were still within reach. The map is a relic, a symbol of a time when the world was larger, wilder, and far more unknown. Its symbols, though faded, still carry with them the echoes of an age when the stars above were not just points of light, but beacons guiding the way to realms that are no longer remembered. It is said that this map was created by those who sought to chart not only the physical world, but the very edges of existence itself. The places it marks are not the ones we know, not the cities and kingdoms we read about in our history books, but lands where time itself seemed to dissolve, where the boundaries between the known and the unknown, between reality and myth, were blurred. These were places where the earth itself seemed to hold its breath, where the very air hummed with the quiet promise of secrets waiting to be uncovered. The map, though its surface has cracked and its colours have bled into one another, still carries with it a mystery that calls to us, even now, from the corners of time. The edges of the map seem to stretch out beyond the familiar, beyond the continents we know, as if it was never meant to be complete, but always meant to be a symbol of something that remains just out of reach. These forgotten territories, these places where the map's lines lead, are lands where few dared to venture, and fewer still returned from. What were they? Where were they? And why were they erased from the world's memory, as if they were never meant to be found again? As we trace the map's cryptic lines, we feel as though we are following a path to nowhere, a path that leads through realms that no longer exist, or perhaps never did. The land beneath our feet shifts and changes with each step we take, as though we are moving through a dream, through a world that exists only in the spaces between thoughts, in the spaces between breaths. The map is not a guide, but a key to a door that remains locked, hidden at the world's edge, beyond the reach of time. What was it that once lay in these territories, beyond the familiar borders of the known world? What wisdom, what knowledge, what secrets were buried here, waiting to be discovered? The journey is not one of discovery, not one where we uncover the truth of these forgotten lands, for that truth has already been lost to us. No, this journey is one of quiet wonder. It is a journey not to find answers, but to feel the weight of what has been lost, a weight that cannot be measured by maps or timelines, a weight that exists only in the silent spaces between the world's edges. The map's faded lines, its worn symbols, are not meant to guide us to a place, but to something deeper, something beyond the reach of time and memory. For what was lost to us was never meant to be found. The further we follow the map's lines, the more we are drawn into the mystery of its forgotten territories. The world around us begins to shift, as though we are no longer bound by the familiar laws of nature. The air grows still, and the ground beneath our feet seems to hum with an energy we cannot quite understand. The world here feels older, more ancient, as though it holds the memory of something that has been forgotten for eons. The edges of the map, where reality itself seems to fray, are no longer distant, but close, within reach, as though they are drawing us in. Yet, even as we come closer, there is a sense of something slipping through our fingers, as if the very nature of these places resists our attempts to understand them. The map, with its cryptic lines and fading symbols, offers no clear answers, only a faint glimpse of a world that once was, but now exists only in the corners of our minds, in the spaces between the stars. It is as though the map is not a tool for finding, but for remembering that there was once a time when the world was not so neatly defined, when there were still places where the boundaries of reality were not set, where the edges of the known world curled into the unknown. And as we stand at the edge of this world, on the brink of something that feels just within reach, the silence settles in around us, heavy and profound. The air grows thick with the sense of what could have been, what was almost found but never fully understood. The map is no longer a guide, but a symbol of something greater, something that cannot be grasped, something that exists just beyond the horizon of our understanding. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, this forgotten land at the world's edge. Perhaps it was always meant to remain hidden, waiting for those who are ready to listen to the whispers of its lost history. Some believe that the edges of the world, as shown on this map, were never meant to be discovered. Perhaps they were always intended to remain veiled, to exist in the spaces where time bends and the lines between the known and the unknown fade into nothingness. These forgotten places were never meant to be found, for in their discovery we would uncover something we were not meant to know, something that could not be returned to the world without changing it forever. As we step back from the map, its faded lines still dancing in our mind, we realize that it was never the map itself that mattered. It was the journey it took us on, a journey not to a place, but to a memory, to a truth that was never meant to be uncovered. The stars above, now bright in the night sky, seemed to pulse with the softest hint of something hidden, something forgotten, something always just out of reach. And perhaps, in this silence, we are left with the understanding that some mysteries, some places, are meant to remain lost. Perhaps it is better that way, for the edges of the world are not meant to be found, but to be imagined, to live only in the space where memory fades and the line between the known and the unknown blurs. The map lies still in the dark, its story unfinished, its territories lost to time. Perhaps it will never be uncovered. Perhaps it was always meant to be hidden at the edge of the world, beyond the reach of history. And perhaps, in the quietest moments, when we turn our gaze to the stars, we will remember that the most profound mysteries are those that we were never meant to find. Perhaps that is where the story ends, not with discovery, but with the soft echo of something just beyond our grasp. At the heart of the mountain, beneath layers of stone and silence, there lies a temple. Its entrance, framed by towering guardians carved from ancient rock, has not felt the warmth of sunlight for millennia. The mountain holds its secrets close, as though the very earth itself cradles this sacred place in a deep, protective embrace. The guardians stand frozen, their eyes long since dulled by time, but their presence is still felt imposing, unwavering, as though they were placed here not only to guard the temple, but to wait for something perhaps for us. It is said that this temple was built in reverence to the earth itself, a place where the ancients came to honor the forces that shaped the world, to commune with the spirits of the earth, the sky, and the stars. Its walls, though weathered by centuries of silence, are etched with symbols of an age so long past that even the language has faded from memory. These symbols are no mere decorations. They are a language, a sacred script, whispered through the stone by the hands of those who believed the earth could speak, that its rhythms and cycles could be understood, known, revered. What secrets did these walls once hold? What truths did they reveal to those who stood here, bathed in the quiet majesty of the earth? Few have ventured within this temple, and fewer still have returned to tell the tale. The mountain, with its steep cliffs and treacherous paths, has always kept its secrets hidden. Those who sought it out, driven by curiosity or some deeper calling, found the journey difficult, their path obscured by fog, by rock, by time itself. And yet, here we stand, at the base of this ancient mountain, drawn toward the temple's shadow, as though the mountain itself is calling to us. The air grows thick as we ascend, heavy with the weight of history, as if each step we take brings us closer, not only to the temple, but to something much older, a silence that stretches back beyond memory, beyond the reach of time. The mountain seems to hold its breath as we draw near. The winds grow faint, the world around us becomes still, and in this stillness, we begin to feel the weight of what lies ahead. The temple's entrance, framed by those stoic guardians, is now before us, and for the first time, we notice the deep silence that surrounds it. This place, hidden from the world, was never meant to be discovered, yet here we are, standing before it, as though we have been invited by the very stone itself. There is a sacredness in the air, a reverence that fills the space between us and the mountain. The temple is not a place of cold stone, but of living memory. Memory that is carried in the very rock, in the silent hum of the earth, waiting for the right moment to be heard. What rituals were performed here, beneath the gaze of the stone guardians, in the shadow of the mountain? What truths were revealed to those who entered? The mountain, with its immense presence, seems to hold these truths deep within its heart, as if the earth itself is guarding knowledge too sacred to be spoken aloud. And yet, the echoes of those ancient rituals still linger in the air, faint whispers carried by the wind, waiting to be remembered. As we step closer to the temple's entrance, the weight of time becomes more pronounced. The stone beneath our feet feels ancient, its surface worn by centuries of reverent footsteps, yet it remains strong, resolute, as though it too is a guardian of the past. The carvings on the temple's walls, though faded by the passage of time, still hold a certain beauty, a quiet majesty. These symbols, though obscure, speak of a connection to the earth that transcends language. They speak of the earth's heartbeat, of its pulse, of its endless cycles, and of the wisdom that can be found in listening to its rhythm. The earth was never silent to those who understood its language, was woven into the very fabric of existence, and this temple was its sanctuary. There is a pulse here, a faint rhythm that reverberates in the very air, as though the mountain itself is breathing. Perhaps the temple was not simply a place of worship, but a place of understanding, a place where the ancients sought to unlock the mysteries of the earth's hidden heart. What were they looking for? What truths did they believe could be found here, in the silence between the stones? Some believed they sought immortality, others enlightenment, others still simply the understanding that came from being at one with the earth. Whatever their quest, it is clear that the temple was built not just to honor the earth, but to commune with it, to hear its ancient voice, to listen to its secrets. But now, as we stand at the threshold, there is no voice, no sound, only the soft breath of the mountain, the echo of a time long past. The air is thick with reverence, heavy with the weight of centuries. There is a quiet majesty in this place, a profound silence that holds us in its embrace, as though the mountain itself is waiting for us to understand, to listen. The temple was not meant to be discovered, yet here we are, standing on the precipice of something ancient, something sacred. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, but perhaps that is what makes it all the more powerful, a place so quiet, so still, that its very presence feels like a secret shared only with the earth itself. The guardians, silent and eternal, watch over the entrance, their stone eyes still holding the gaze of those who come before them. The mountain has kept its secrets for so long, and yet, in the silence, we begin to feel them. faint echoes of a time when the temple was alive with ritual, with prayer, with the pulse of life. And as we stand before the entrance, we realize that we are not meant to find answers, but to be present in this moment, to honor the silence, to listen to what the mountain is offering. There is no need to speak, no need to rush. The mountain has waited for us for millennia, and in its time, it will speak when we are ready to hear its message. Perhaps the temple was never meant to be uncovered. Perhaps it was always meant to remain hidden, a place where the earth's deepest secrets were kept safe from the world. But now, in the quiet of the night, beneath the watchful gaze of the mountain's guardians, we are reminded that there are places in this world that are sacred because they are not meant to be understood. They are meant only to be felt, to be honored, to be listened to in the silence of the earth's embrace. And as we stand at the entrance, the mountain holding us in its quiet reverence, we realize that we do not need to enter the temple to understand. The silence here is enough. The earth's heartbeat is enough. The mountain is calling us home, not to uncover its secrets, but to remember that some truths can only be found in the spaces between words, in the pause between breaths, in the quiet hum of the world's pulse. Perhaps that is the greatest truth of all, the understanding that some places are sacred because they hold silence, and in that silence, we find the wisdom we were never meant to seek. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, this temple beneath the mountain's heart. But perhaps, in the stillness of the night, we have found something even more sacred, the space to listen. In a forgotten corner of the earth, where the pulse of the world seems to slow and the rhythm of time becomes nothing more than a distant murmur, there stands a city, veiled in silence, hidden from all but the most patient of seekers. The city lies just beyond the edge of memory, where the winds do not stir and the dust settles in patterns that only the earth itself understands. Here, time does not flow as we know it. It does not hurry or rush, nor does it march forward in a straight line. Instead, it lingers, like a dream caught between breaths, suspended in the stillness of an eternal moment. At the heart of this city, there is a gate. Ancient, worn by the passage of untold centuries, it stands closed, silent, waiting. It is said that no one has passed through it for as long as the city has stood. It is guarded, not by stone or by force, but by an ancient presence, a silent force that measures the passage of every moment, watching, waiting, like the quiet breath between the stars. The gate does not ask, it does not speak, but in its stillness, it calls. It calls to those who are willing to listen, those who seek a place beyond time, where the boundaries between past, present, and future fade into the eternal silence of the world. As we stand before it now, the weight of the gate's silence presses upon us. The air is thick, heavy, with the promise of something ancient, something we cannot yet understand. We wonder, are we ready to step into a realm where time has no dominion? A place where the movements of the hours are not measured by the ticking of a clock, but by the rhythms of the earth, by the pulse of stars that have long since burned out? What secrets does this city hold, hidden within its quiet walls? What truths lie beyond the gate, waiting to be uncovered by those who dare to listen in the spaces between moments? The silence is profound, like the quiet breath of the earth itself, but it does not frighten us. Instead, it fills us with awe, with reverence, as though we have stumbled upon something sacred, something that has always existed, but has never been meant to be found. The gate stands before us like a keeper of forgotten knowledge, holding the city in balance, holding the very fabric of time still, as if to say, here, there is no need to hurry. Here, there is no past or future, only the eternal now. Beneath the moonlit sky, the gate appears not just as an entrance, but as a threshold to something greater. The air around it shimmers, as if the very space between the stones is alive, breathing with a power that we cannot see but can feel in every fibre of our being. The gate does not seem to exist in time. It exists in a space beyond time, where the clock's ticking is forgotten, where moments drift like clouds passing in the sky. The city, once a bustling place, is now only a shadow, a memory suspended in the quiet, like a fading star at the edge of the universe. The past lives here, the present too, and perhaps even the future, all woven into the silence, all waiting. Some believe this city was built as a sanctuary, not just for those who sought peace, but for those who sought a deeper understanding of time itself. The city's builders, wise beyond our comprehension, knew that time was not just a measurement, but a force, a river that carried us all from one moment to the next. But they also understood that beneath time, there is stillness. And in that stillness, there are secrets. So, they built their city not with walls, but with silence, not with roads, but with pauses, leaving room for the unknown to flourish, for the quiet to become part of the city's heartbeat. They built a place where time would not rush, where the past and the future would intertwine and rest side by side. Yet, the city is lost now. Few know of its existence. Fewer still have ever seen the gate that guards its heart. Some say that those who sought to enter the city were never meant to return. They were seekers, wanderers of time, who stepped through the gate into a place where the rules of the world no longer applied. What happened to them? Did they find what they sought, or did they simply become part of the city's timeless pulse? Blending with the silence, their footsteps lost to the wind. The gate remains closed, but its promise lingers in the air. What is it that waits beyond this threshold? What knowledge is contained within the walls of this city, where time itself bends and stirs like an unseen current beneath the earth? Perhaps the city's secrets are not meant to be uncovered, but felt not understood by the mind, but known by the heart, where the rhythms of the earth and the stars can be heard in perfect harmony. Perhaps the gate was never meant to open. Perhaps it was always meant to stand here, a symbol, a quiet invitation to listen, to reflect, to remember the timelessness within all of us. As we stand in front of the gate, the silence around us deepens. It is as though the earth is listening to us, watching us, waiting for us to hear the echoes of a time when everything was in balance, when the rhythms of life were slow and steady as the heartbeat of the world itself. The city stands in perfect stillness beneath the watchful gaze of the stars. Time, it seems, has no meaning here. It is held in perfect balance, as if the past, present, and future exist in a single moment, suspended forever. There is no answer, no grand revelation. The gate remains closed. The city remains quiet. And yet, in this silence, we are filled with a deep knowing, a knowing that sometimes the greatest truths are not those that can be seen or touched, but those that are felt in the stillness. Perhaps this city was not meant to be discovered. Perhaps its secrets were always meant to remain hidden in the silence, waiting for us to understand, to listen, to become one with the timeless rhythm of the earth. We take a deep breath, standing at the threshold, the gate still before us, waiting. Perhaps it will never open, and perhaps that is how it should be. For some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but to be embraced in silence, in the quiet moments between breaths, between the beating of our hearts. And so, we turn away, leaving the gate behind, but not its promise. The silence, the city, and the timeless dance of life remain with us, woven into the quiet spaces of our souls. Perhaps the city of time was never meant to be found, but it remains there, a place beyond time, waiting in perfect silence. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. Perhaps, in the quiet of the night, we will hear them again. In the heart of a forgotten desert, where the wind whispers in soft eternal sighs, and the sands stretch endlessly into the horizon, there lies a kingdom lost to time. Its name is a shadow now, a fleeting memory, a secret held within the earth itself. The land is barren, the sky above a pale, unwavering blue, and beneath the surface of the ground, there are temples ancient and silent carved into the very rock of the earth, as though the mountains themselves have held vigil for a people who no longer exist. It is said that these temples were built in reverence, not to gods of flesh and bone, but to something far older, far more mysterious. Here, in these sacred halls, the people of the desert kingdom prayed their voices, rising in the cool stillness of the night, carried on the winds, seeking answers to questions that have long since been lost. What did they seek in the darkness of the desert? What sacred truths did they hope to uncover beneath the stars that shimmered above? The walls of these temples, worn by centuries of silence, are covered with the faintest traces of their prayers, their devotion echoes that linger in the air like a forgotten song. The kingdom that once flourished here has vanished, leaving behind only the hollow spaces where prayers were once spoken. The temples stand as silent sentinels, their stone faces weathered and worn, bearing witness to a time that has passed. It is as if the very earth itself has claimed them, swallowed them into its depths, leaving no trace of the people who built them. The desert, with its vast, unyielding silence, has erased them. Or perhaps the desert has kept their secrets, carrying their last prayer on the wind to places unknown. We stand at the entrance of one such temple now, its stone archways crumbling, its once proud columns now reduced to shadows of what they once were. The air around us is thick with dust, and the wind carries with it the faintest whispers, the echoes of a time when this place was alive, with the sound of prayer, the beating heart of a kingdom that sought something beyond the earthly. But now, all that remains are these stones, these temples, and the silence that fills the spaces between. What did these people seek? What was their final wish? Spoken in the stillness of the desert night, before they were lost to the sands, some believe they sought knowledge, a truth that lay beyond the veil of the world they knew, a secret that could unlock the mysteries of the heavens themselves. Others believe they sought peace, or perhaps immortality, hoping that their prayers would be answered in the afterlife. But whatever they sought, their cries were lost to the winds, carried away by the unyielding desert, never to be heard again. The kingdom that once stood here has faded, leaving only the memory of its prayer, lingering like a whisper in the air. As we wander through the ruins, our footsteps soft against the cracked stone, we feel the weight of what is lost. The temples, though silent, are filled with a presence, a quiet reverence that fills the space between us and the earth. There is no sound here, no movement, only the faint hum of the wind, as though the desert itself is holding its breath. The walls of the temple are adorned with faded carvings, symbols of an age long past, their meanings now obscured by time. Yet, in the stillness, these symbols speak to us not in words, but in the silence that surrounds us, in the weight of the unanswered prayer that hangs in the air. We pause before an altar, worn smooth by the hands of those who once stood here, their fingers brushing against the stone as they made their offerings. The altar is simple, yet there is a quiet majesty to it, a reminder of the devotion that once filled this place. The stones beneath our feet are warm, still holding the heat of the sun that set long ago, their warmth a faint reminder of the life that once pulsed here. But now, the altar is empty, its sacred space abandoned, its purpose forgotten. The prayers that were once spoken here have been carried away by the wind, scattered across the vast desert, fading into the silence. In the distance, the sun begins to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ruins. The sky above is painted with hues of gold and crimson, the fading light of the day giving way to the cool, quiet night. The stars begin to emerge, twinkling faintly in the darkening sky, their light distant but steady. It is said that the people of this kingdom believed the stars held the key to their salvation, that the heavens themselves held the answers to their prayers. And now, as we stand before the temple, we are reminded of the vastness of the world, the infinite silence of the desert, and the eternal dance of the stars above. What was the last prayer of this kingdom? What was it that they sought in the silence of the desert, beneath the endless expanse of the stars? Perhaps their prayer was a plea for understanding, a desire to know the truth of the world that lay beyond the veil. Perhaps it was a prayer for peace, for an end to the suffering that so often filled the hearts of those who lived in the harshness of the desert. Or perhaps it was a prayer for something even greater, a prayer for a connection to the divine, to the earth itself, to the stars that watched over them. The wind picks up, swirling around us, carrying with it the faintest trace of their voices, their prayers, now lost to time. The temple, though abandoned, still holds the echoes of what once was. The silence, though heavy, is not empty. It is filled with the memory of a people who sought something beyond the earth, beyond time, and who were lost to the sands, their prayers unanswered. And yet, in this silence, there is something sacred, a space where the past, present, and future meet, where memory fades and is reborn in the quiet spaces between. As we turn away from the temple, the shadows of the ruins stretch long across the desert floor, swallowed by the encroaching night. The stars above us grow brighter, their light now clear and steady, as though they too remember the prayer that once filled the air. Perhaps this kingdom was never meant to be found. Perhaps its people were never meant to be remembered. Perhaps their last prayer was always meant to be carried away by the desert, lost to the winds, a memory fading into the silence. And yet, as we stand beneath the stars, in the vastness of the desert night, we know that some prayers are never truly forgotten. They linger in the air, like the faintest whisper, waiting to be heard when we are ready to listen. Some voices only echo when we are ready to hear them. And perhaps, in the stillness, we will find the answers they once sought. Perhaps the prayer of the desert kingdom is still waiting, carried on the wind, lost to time, but never truly gone. Deep within the heart of an ancient temple, hidden beneath layers of stone and dust, there lies a chamber, a place untouched by the passage of time, as though the very walls are sealed away from the world. The air here is still, thick with the quiet hum of something profound. No sound enters this place. No whispers from the world outside can cross its threshold. It is a sacred space, created not for prayer or sacrifice, but to hold silence itself, to preserve the stillness, to keep it safe. It is said that this chamber was built by a civilization that sought to transcend the noise of the world, to escape the chaos of the fleeting moments that surround us. They longed for peace, a peace that could only be found in the deepest quiet, in the stillness that fills the space between thoughts, between heartbeats, between breaths. And so they created this place, a space of silence, a place where time might slow, where the mind could wander without distraction, where the noise of existence could be forgotten, and the soul might find its way back to something more eternal. As we stand at the entrance of this chamber, we feel the weight of its silence, a presence so thick it seems almost tangible. The temple's dark stone stretches out before us, the carvings of long-forgotten gods fading into the shadows. The air grows stiller as we step inside, and with each breath, the outside world fades away, slipping from our mind like a distant memory, until we are left with nothing but the hum of the earth beneath our feet. The chamber is vast, its walls rising like cliffs, their surfaces smooth and worn by the touch of hands long gone. The floor is cold, but not harsh. It is the cold of something ancient, of something meant to last forever. We walk deeper into the chamber, each step slow and measured, as though we too are becoming part of this stillness. The temple was designed to preserve silence, and here, in this quiet place, we begin to understand why. There is a force here, a presence that is not simply absence, but something more, a weight that presses against us gently, holding us in its embrace. The silence is not empty. It is full of meaning, full of something ancient, something hidden from the world for reasons we cannot yet comprehend. It is as though the chamber itself holds secrets too vast for the mind to grasp, waiting only for those who are willing to listen. What was it that this ancient civilization sought within these walls? What did they discover in this silence that was so powerful, so sacred, that it had to be hidden away from the world? Some believe they found the key to inner peace, a knowledge that transcended the noise of the world and the fleeting desires of the flesh. Perhaps they discovered the true rhythm of existence, the pulse of the earth itself, and with it, the understanding that silence is not emptiness, but a sacred presence, a space where the soul can rest, can breathe, can remember. We sit in the shadow of the chamber now, feeling the weight of the silence pressing gently against us. The quiet is overwhelming, but not oppressive. It is a stillness that seems to wrap around us like a blanket, holding us close, keeping us safe from the world outside. The walls of the chamber stand like sentinels, their stone faces smooth and unreadable, their ancient symbols long forgotten. Yet, in this quiet, we begin to sense the pulse of something older, something eternal, moving just beneath the surface like the hum of the earth, like the soft rhythm of the stars. There are no answers here, no revelations, no grand discoveries. The chamber does not speak, for it was never meant to. It holds no truths, but it offers a space for those who seek them. The silence itself is the message, the gift, the lesson. The civilization that built this chamber sought something beyond the reach of the senses, a peace that could only be found in the absence of sound, in the absence of distraction, in the stillness that lies beyond time. In this space, they were free from the pull of the world, free from the constant noise that fills our lives, free to find the quiet that exists beneath it all, the stillness that connects everything, that holds the universe in place. And yet, we are left with a question that hangs in the air like a forgotten prayer. What was it that these ancient people sought? Did they find it? Or was this silence their final offering, their final prayer, a gift that could not be understood, but only felt? The chamber, now filled with the soft hum of its silence, seems to breathe with us. There is no rush here, no need for answers, no urgency to understand. The walls stand still, as they have for countless centuries, holding the secrets of those who came before us. The silence that fills the room is not oppressive but inviting, calling us to listen, to be present, to experience the quiet in the deepest parts of our soul. Perhaps, in this silence, we can hear the echoes of the people who once sought peace here. Perhaps their prayers, their desires, their last wishes, still linger in the stillness, not in words, but in the space they created. The air grows cooler as the moments pass, and the shadows in the chamber grow deeper, stretching out like the hands of time, pulling us further into the quiet. The silence here is not a void, but a presence that holds us in its embrace. It is not the absence of sound, but the presence of something far more profound, a connection to something greater than ourselves, a peace that exists beyond the noise of our lives, a peace that can only be found in the spaces between moments. And so, we sit in the heart of this chamber, surrounded by the quiet, surrounded by the stillness, knowing that perhaps the greatest secrets are those that cannot be spoken, cannot be understood, but can only be felt in the silence. Perhaps the people who built this chamber never found the answers they sought, but in the silence they found something more, a peace that cannot be measured, a truth that cannot be spoken, but that exists in the heart of the earth itself. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps it was always meant to be hidden, to rest in the silence, to be remembered only in the stillness. And yet, in this silence, we are left with the faintest trace of understanding that some truths are not meant to be understood, but only felt. And in that feeling, in that quiet hum beneath our feet, we are reminded that sometimes the greatest wisdom is found not in the answers, but in the space that holds them.